This brings us to our top story, as Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says Micah's law is supported by the Republican members.
It's supported by virtually all of my members, and we expect to have a vote on it at some point.
Those comments came at a White House press briefing earlier this week when EWTN News Nightly's White House correspondent Mark Irons asked about support for Micah's law, or the pain-capable bill. The bill was introduced into the Senate earlier this month by pro-life lawmakers.
This is an opportunity for us to be able to basically catch up for the rest of the world, where the rest of the world has already gone, recognizing that a child at the 5th month of development is a viable child.
We're joined now by Senator James Lankford from Capitol Hill. Senator, thank you for your time.
Glad to be able to be with you.
Senator, you've already voiced support for the pain-capable bill. What is your argument in favor of it?
You know what, the pain-capable bill is one of these very simple bills that people try to make much more complicated than it really is. It answers the question, will the United States at least have abortion laws like the rest of the world does? The rest of the world does not allow elective abortion after 5 months of pregnancy, with the exception of countries like North Korea and China that are so atrocious on their human rights violations. The rest of the world also doesn't allow, if an abortion is botched, for a child to be fully delivered and then to allow the child to die in front of a group of medical professionals that are standing around watching it die. No one does that but the United States. So the pain-capable bill says, why don't we at least have abortion laws as restrictive as the rest of the world does, and not have American laws that are much more open on the death of children in the womb than the rest of the world. It also deals with this basic principle: is a child when they can feel pain? I believe a child is at conception, but we should at least agree when a child is feeling pain and not to have to experience the trauma of abortion as well.
We've seen this bill go to the Senate before and it get knocked down. Do you have any hope that this time it will pass?
We are going to work very hard in the Senate to be able to bring this up and to try to bring it up in a reasoned argument, to say there's no reason the United States should have abortion laws that allow the death of children after 5 months of gestation. So we're going to have that argument. I think there are multiple individuals that are appalled by the fact that America still allows full delivery of children during a botched abortion, and that child then dies on the table in front of everyone after delivery. That's an area that is very, very difficult for the people that are pro-abortion to be able to defend. They'll talk about tissue. They'll talk about it's a fetus. They don't believe it's a child until the mom declares it's a child. But when we look into the womb, we see 10 fingers and 10 toes and a beating heart and a functioning nervous system and DNA that is different than the mom and different than the dad. I think at a minimum, we should be able to agree that that child is a child after they have feeling and after they can actually function in what the Supreme Court declared in the 1970s as viability. Why wouldn't we all agree that's definitely a child at that point?
Your Democrat colleagues, Senators Manchin, Donnelly, and Casey, voted in favor of the pain-capable bill 2 years ago. In recent months, we've seen Democratic leaders openly debate on whether the party should be more open to pro-lifers. Do you see this as a unique time in which more Democratic politicians can vote pro-life, or will they face too much backlash?
Well, the Republican Party is very open. There are a lot of open perspectives there. It's a big tent party with a lot of perspectives. I would hope for Democrats they would be a big tent party as well and wouldn't have some sort of litmus test to say you have to be pro-abortion to also be a Democrat. Unfortunately, that's been the trend of the last several years as Democrats have pushed out more and more individuals simply because they're pro-life. So I would hope that this would be a moment for Democrats to be able to rethink that position and to be able to say you can be pro-life and still be a Democrat. But we'll see what their own party presses them to be able to do in the days ahead.
Senator James Lankford, thank you for your time.
Great. Glad to be able to be with you.
For reaction and continued analysis, we turn now to our expert. Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the Susan B. Anthony List, joins us in studio. Marjorie, grateful to have you.
Hey, Catherine, always.
What did you make of what Senator Lankford had to say to us about his Democratic colleagues and their support of the pain-capable bill?
Yes, I mean, he's such a great friend of the pro-life movement. He's very astute in his observations. One thing that we have seen very much is the debate within the Democratic Party right now about whether this should be a litmus test or not. Nancy Pelosi, the head of the DCCC, the election arm of the Democratic House members, about whether this should be a litmus test. We're seeing a crack in the armor of the Democratic Party on this, and I think this particular bill, the pain-capable bill, the MICA law, actually is a moment where we can see something beautiful happening within that party, but it's going to take a lot of work to get there.
Potentially more Democratic votes.
That's right. That's right.
You called it Micah's Law. It has gotten that nickname. Why do you think this 5-year-old's boy is such a powerful face for this bill?
Well, I think you've seen him. You know, you look at him and you think this bill can be nothing other than Micah's Law. Because you look at him and you say, this boy's peers and this boy's friends that should be in this world, that were born, could have been born around the same time, ought to be here. He's the beautiful face of it.
Turning topics a bit, Senator Lankford is also behind a proposal to change how the Senate confirms presidential nominees to federal judgeships and the executive branch. Why is this so important, specifically for pro-life initiatives?
Yeah, this is a huge and often hidden battle in D.C., especially now. The president has brought up 53 nominees. Only 7 have been confirmed. One of them, the Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch, and we have 160 openings to fill. This is so important because our pro-life laws get continually challenged by the other side, and we care. What is the court going to look like that within which they're going to get a decision made? It really matters who is listening to that case, whether they care about the rule of law and the Constitution, or whether they have a political agenda or not.
The Supreme Court and then all those other courts.
Yes.
Marjorie, I want to get your take on this next pro-life story right now as well. The Department of Health and Human Services makes a major pro-life change in its new strategic plan, stating it serves and protects Americans at every stage of life, beginning at conception. The phrase beginning at conception was previously not included. So Marjorie, how significant is this?
Well, I think, we've been involved in this for a little while, and ideas have consequences. The idea that a person begins at conception has a consequence. It has a consequence in law. It has a consequence in actions. Therefore, for HHS to take this on as a mantra is a beautiful step. It means a lot. We are looking for the actions that follow that. We'll be following what that means.
See that mantra taken into action.
Amen. Yeah.
Marjorie, thank you for your insight and expertise on these wide range of pro-life topics this week. Thank you.
Thank you.